the show's just so fun, and it's you know, it really evokes your imagination to like run off into really fun places. And I mean, that's something that I loved about it when I first read the script. When I read the pilot, I, you know, loved it immediately, and I thought, you know, any way to possibly be involved in this would be amazing, because it's so unique, and it's a fantasy, like it's a true fantasy, and it's just such a wonderful world that the boys have created. I loved how the boys made Red the wolf. I mean, I thought that was just such a brilliant twist, and they told me about it early on into the first season, and I lost my mind. I just thought it was so genius and made so much sense.
Yeah.
Like, I think it just, especially in like this world that they've created, that of course that's how it goes, you know. And so in my mind, that's just how the story, I mean, I believe the fairy tales that they've written, and that's how that world is, and that they just know something that we don't. Season 3 ended on such a, you know, new note, I think, with, you know, a new villain coming potentially, and, you know, all these crazy things have been happening, and so I don't really know where they're going to take season 4, but I can pretty much guarantee it'll be something that you've never thought of, that none of us have ever thought of, and is going to be amazing. And Snow White was the first movie I ever saw, and so I've always loved Snow White, and I loved that they made Red Riding Hood and Snow White best friends. And so I love all of my scenes with Ginny. We always have a ton of fun together. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. There's a new baby now, and their life together, and so it'll be interesting to see how that works into the story. Actually, when I was doing research for the role in the first season, I read quite a bit about the like mythology behind Red Riding Hood, and back in the day, one of the sayings of losing your virginity was called seeing the wolf, was when you lost your virginity. So that's apparently, you know, part of the mythology that led up to that story. But I think that's the thing that's so great about the show, is that Adam and Eddie have taken these female characters that have, you know, historically sometimes been, you know, weaker and, you know, saved by the men and
the handsome prince.
Yeah, exactly. And they've turned everything on its head, and the princesses save themselves, and Red is a great example of that, being the wolf, as you say. You know, I think that, you know, it's a really great empowerment device for women, and I think that it's great that like young girls are watching it too, because they're going to grow up with these female characters that can take care of themselves and don't need someone else to come
fight
in and
for
rescue
themselves.
them.
Yeah,
and I think that's a really great thing to put out in the world.
Yeah, to stay on this with the wolf, I mean, you have kind of an animal side in the show. How is it to just like let your instincts loose at some point? It must be a very different way to play than in Intelligence, for instance, where you have to be very controlled.
It's very different, and it was really fun to go kind of back and forth a little bit, because I finished Intelligence and then went back to the end of the finale of Once Upon a Time, and it was really fun to kind of go right from that like bound, constricted character to, you know, Ruby's she's very
passionate.
Yeah, animalistic. You know, she's a wolf. You know, that's what kind of fuels her, and it's in how they write her. It's in, I can't not do that as I play her, and so it was really fun to kind of have that juxtaposition. We were up in the snow shooting one day, and I kid you not, I took a picture of it, and it was on, I think it was on Instagram at some point. But Ginny was standing there, and there were all these birds flying around us, and she put like a little like food in her hand, and a bird landed on her hand, and was just, I have a picture of her standing with a bird on her finger.
Snow White.
In her Snow White costume. I was just like, what's happening?
This is magic.
Like, it was very special and really fun.
Yeah.
And totally forgot, I'm probably going to get in trouble for this, but I actually have a movie coming out in July for Hallmark called Memory Book.
Oh, good.
Which is really cute, and it's a romantic comedy, so I totally forgot.
Are you the lead?
I am.
And she forgot. Just do that little movie.
Just
That's how tired I am.
just to keep you well out of trouble, tell us a little bit about that. Give us the hard sell. Go on.
Yeah.
The memory book is with myself and an actor named Luke McFarland, who was on Brothers and Sisters for many years. And it is a story about a girl named Chloe, who's a photographer and does not believe in love, and through a bit of an experience looking for a memory book, may or may not find out that love really does exist.
Don't spoil it for us.
May or may not, I said.
So, how did you feel when you first saw Ruby's costume? Because it's quite short.
I laughed. I laughed very, very hard. But the thing is that it actually completely made sense to me that she would, with how they were telling the story and with how the curse went in Storybrooke, that Ruby's curse, with the story of Red Riding Hood being about a cautionary tale about sex and everything, that the opposite end of that would be a girl who has, you know, this like overt sexuality and is, you know, basically the opposite of this, is not cautious of predatory men, actually seeks them out, is the predator herself. And so I thought that it made total sense, but I was very cold all the time.
Oh, she was so cool. And every time they yell cut, she'd take her shoes, the heels, I'm taking these shoes off and put your Uggs on or something.
Yeah.
You walked so beautifully in them, but cut, oh, my feet.
The worst, do you remember those, my thigh-high red, like,
Yes.
I had these, you can't totally tell because I usually wear them with red pants, but these like plastic thigh-high red boots with platforms that are about this big that like lace up. And they're kind of comfortable actually, but they're just, they pinch as well, and it's just...
They went to some shady stores to buy
They
your
did.
shoes. Yeah.
It was fun though. It was
Granny
like
would
playing
just
dress
roll
up
her
every
eyes
day.
at them.
Halloween.
I remember after you watched season 1, you went, oh my god, they shot so much of my butt. Look at those
I
cameras.
was so too. I bent over a lot, and they definitely zoomed in on my butt. I didn't know that was happening.
We all